Hello, welcome to Bob's Dungeon. My name's Bob, I'll be your host. And years ago I used to play a lot of World of Darkness when it was the old World of Darkness. And I don't do the old World of Darkness anymore, but back then I used to play a lot. And it gave you a good variety of different creatures you could play as. Vampires, werewolves, mages, ghosts, mummies, wraiths, whatever. A lot of neat stuff. Something that I always thought was kind of missing, though, was there was no type of creature to play a kind of Frankenstein's monster, if you will. And that would have been kind of hard for them to do. But eventually, the World of Darkness ended, and they came out with a new World of Darkness. Nowadays, it's with its second edition out. It's called the Chronicles of Darkness. But they gave you that option to play a Frankenstein's type monster. And so we're going to talk about Prometheon the Created. This is the first edition of the book. It has 278 pages and a copyright of 2006. It was published by White Wolf Games, and all of the artwork in this book is in black and white. And it's pretty decent. So let's go ahead and look at that artwork. All of the artwork in this book is in black and white. And it's pretty decent artwork, even when it is at its goriest. And it goes a long way to set a proper tone and mood for this game. To use this book, what you're going to need is, of course, a copy of this core rulebook and the core rulebook for the World of Darkness game. You also need as many 10-sided dice as you can get your hands on. Now, I'm not going to go over the fine points of the rules because those are covered in the core book for the World of Darkness, and I already did a video for that. So we're going to look at the stuff that pertains to Prometheon. And we're going to start by character creation. Character creation is under the core book, but for Prometheans there's a few extra things. So let's get started with character creation. The first thing you're going to want to do is to figure out your attributes. Now, there are 3 categories of attributes in this game. They are physical, mental, and social attributes. Each of these have 3 attributes under them, giving you a total of 9 attributes. You have intelligence, wits, resolve, strength, dexterity, stamina, presence, manipulation, and composure. And the first thing you need to do is to prioritize them. Each of these attributes will start with 1 dot. And this is for free. You don't have to spend anything on them. But you pick a priority category. The one with the highest priority, whether it be your physical, mental, or social, will get 5 more dots to split up amongst them. The first dot in each don't count. You'll pick a second most important, and it'll get 4 dots to split up in those categories. And your least most important will get 3 dots to split up amongst them. And what the dots represent is how many dice you'll roll when you're making a check with that attribute. And after you figure out your skills, like your abilities, you'll figure out your skills. Your skills are broken up into categories. They are your mental skills, your physical skills, and your social skills. Now, these can be ranked from 1 to 5, just like attributes. But you get no free dots in these. If you don't have a dot in it, you don't have it. And you must prioritize the categories just like your attributes. Either your mental, your physical, or your social. And your most important will get 11 dots to buy skills with. Your next most important will get 7. And your least most important will get 4. After you get that figured up, you'll figure out your lineage. And your lineage is kind of what type of Promethean you are. You have the Frankensteins, which are also known as the Wretched. You'll have the Giletae, which are also known as Muses. You have the Osiris, which are known as the Nepri. You have the Tamaz, which are also known as Golems. And you have the Olgan, which are known as the Riven. And that's pretty neat. You got different types of created you can be. After that, you'll pick your refinement. And your refinement is kind of like the path you walk upon for your character. And I'll explain more about that later. But the different ones you can choose are the Arom, which is gold, the Caprum, which are copper, the Ferrum, which are iron, the Mercurus, the Mercurius, which are quicksilver, and the Stannis, which is tin. And these kind of pick the path you walk upon. You'll also get a rating of Ozoth. The Ozoth, the best way to describe it would be kind of like a vampire's blood potency. It tells you how powerful they are, how much Pyrus they can have in them. Which Pyrus is the energy type deal they use to fuel their powers. It'd be the equivalent of a werewolf's rage or a vampire's blood. And your starting Pyrus equals the amount of humanity you start with, which you start with 7 in humanity. And that's pretty neat. You also get 3 transmutations. Transmutations are the powers that Prometheans have, and 2 of them have to be chosen from what you get from your refinement and so forth. You also get 7 dots for merits, and it uses the same merits that can be found in the core book, and it's got some specialty merits that pertain to Prometheans themselves, and it'll tell you what merits you can't choose as a Promethean in here. Your size is, of course, 5. That's an adult human, and if you're going to play a child, then that'll adjust downward. Get with your game master on that. There's no real hard or fast rules for that. Your health equals your stamina plus your size. Your willpower equals your resolve plus your composure. Your defense is the lower of either your dexterity or your wits. Your initiative modifier is your dexterity plus your composure. Your speed is your strength plus your dexterity plus 5. And that's pretty much it for making a character. And this game is all about being an undead creature and having no soul. And the life of the Promethean, they refer to it as the pilgrimage. And the pilgrimage is their journey to try and get a soul and become human. And that's pretty nifty. Kind of like vampires trying to gain Jhana. And there are more Prometheans that know Prometheans that have gotten a soul than there are vampires that have heard about vampires who really got Jhana. But anyway, because that the Prometheans have no souls, they emit this disquiet. And what the disquiet does is it taints the land around them. Slowly, the area that they stay in twists and changes into horrible things as it rejects the Promethean. People that run into the Promethean will have to make rolls in order to actually deal with them, because the disquiet kind of pushes people away. There's just something wrong with somebody that doesn't have a soul. And the Prometheans also have disfigurements. Now, usually nobody can see their disfigurements, but when they use their transmutations, their disfigurements show up and people can see all their scars and stitchings and what have you. They also, in this book, it gets into talking about how the Prometheans are tied to alchemy, and their transmutations are, of course, alchemy based. And that's a weird choice, I think, but I think it's appropriate in a way. This book tells you everything you need to actually run a game for the Prometheans. It's a little difficult because you get a lot of Prometheans in the area, and it can really degrade the area fast and really do some nasty things. There is also a list of different types of enemies that the Prometheans can run into in this game. Their biggest foe that they'll run into are Pandorans. And the way Pandorans work is kind of weird. You see, part of the pilgrimage is at some point a Promethean must create another Promethean. And it goes into that in the book. And if they do it wrong, then instead of creating another Promethean, the body that they've gotten together will open up and release all these weird, messed up creatures. Sometimes one, sometimes dozens. And these are Pandorans. And they are enemies to the Prometheans. Another thing that the Prometheans run into is that there's this lesser type of Promethean, sort of. They'll run into clones. Clones could be considered Prometheans, but they aren't. And they burn up fast. They age quickly and die off quickly. In order to sustain themselves, they actually go after Prometheans, and they can utilize a Promethean's Azoth and Pyros to fuel themselves to live longer. So you'll want to watch for that. And it talks in here a little bit about werewolves and vampires and how they can interact with Prometheans. There is an adventure in the back you can run to get started. There's a blank character sheet in the back that you can copy and use. And all in all, Prometheon is a pretty neat game, although it can be a little difficult to run. I've not actually had a chance to run this game for anybody, but I have incorporated the Prometheans as NPCs in a few games that I've run, and it actually worked out pretty good. Which brings me to 3 questions. Would I play a character in this game? And I'm going to have to say yes. I kind of like the idea of the Prometheans, and so yeah, I'd try it out. I'd play it. Would I run this game? If I had players for it, then yeah, I'd run it. It'd be a bit tricky, the way that they warp and distort everything around them with their disquiet. But yeah, I would attempt to run it. Would I recommend this game? And if you're really interested in having something different in your World of Darkness game, play something different, then yeah, I would recommend it. But if you're really kind of on the fence about it, you could probably give it a pass. But that's all I got to say about Prometheon. Thank you for joining me at a look at this book, and hopefully you'll join me next time where we'll talk about something else. Bye.